following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
This is Media Mash,
A roundtable of Cowboys insiders
dropping wisdom
and offering sizzling takes
on the current state of your Dallas Cowboys.
Now, your host,
Steve Dennis.
All right, here we are for Media Mash. Man, we moved it to Tuesday. So glad you saw the alert and you joined us. If not, phone all your friends. Media Mash on Tuesday, right now, for the next hour. Okay, a lot of words flying around this week. Family's a big word flying around. Turkey, football, pie. I've got a word I'd like to enter that is a part of this week. It is gulp. G-U-L-P. Definition number one, to swallow heartily or greedily. We're all going to do that, right? We're going to gulp down a Thanksgiving feast this week. That's a good gulp. Second definition of gulp. You keep back as if swallowing. Gulp down a sob or fear, as in gulp. My name is Steve Dennis. Machota's here. Nick's here. Slater's here.
Have we started the podcast?
We have started.
Okay.
I said the same thing back here.
While we gulp down our meal, the Cowboys now have us all you fans, thinking, gulp. That's where we're starting. How bad are you thinking, gulp, Machota?
He said it was going to take him a while to get where he was going.
I don't think it's that bad. I know it's easy after these losses to be very critical of everything and act like the sky's falling, but one, I guess, and I hate to sound like Jerry Jones here, but like DeMarcus Lawrence is coming back, Randy Gregory is coming back, and then the way the defense played, you just sit there and you think, like, putting them on top of what they already showed, like, I can't sit here and go, oh, yeah, they're just not ready for the bright lights. Look at the way they played in Kansas City. It's like, okay, if you told me that they were going to play them again, and then they had Tyron Smith and Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb and Randy Gregory and DeMarcus Lawrence, like, and then the other thing, and this is probably even the bigger thing about all of this, is like, look around the rest of the league. Stop watching that game for 5 minutes and look around the rest of the league, and not just for 1 week or 2 or 3, the entire season. One of the most interesting quotes to me after the game was from Andy Reid, and really Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. The quotes that they had, although they were talking about the Chiefs, they applied to the Cowboys, like, because everybody up there, they act like, oh, are we finally getting our swagger back? Like, are we finally getting back? Like, you have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. You're going to be in the mix. You guys just relax, And I feel the same way about Cowboys fans. Just relax. Like, they're going to be fine. Like, Dak didn't play well. There's a lot of things about that game that, aren't great. But I don't get all of the panic all of a sudden. Like, I don't know. You've been covering the team longer than I have, and so I know you've seen a lot of ups and downs, but I just still think this is the best team they've had in over a decade. Like, just let this thing play out. It's going to be fine.
I agree with you. Let this thing play out, and I think it's going to be fine. But you got to figure out what's fine, because before fine was like, we're gonna win the division, and then it's like, forget that, forget the division. You got to go get one of the first, get the bye. Now I think it's definitely back to the division again. I mean,
really?
I do. I mean,
okay.
Look at what's happening. I mean, just look at the Eagles' schedule. Somebody pointed that to me today. Pointed that out. Like, they're in good shape too. I think it's, instead of looking back, it's don't look forward, don't look back. Just kind of stay right here in the moment. But I changed my thought a little bit about it. Dak he needs help. He's always needed help. But it was evident in this game. He's not that Aaron Rodgers type that's just dragging the team with him. He needs his help. He needs his guys. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But that was evident for me.
Yeah, I think I'm falling a little bit more in line with where John is at on this. A lot of people, they felt like the sky was falling after that. I think if you would have looked at your calendars, Cowboys going to Arrowhead and playing the Chiefs, this was one I think a lot of people expected the Cowboys could lose. Mm-hmm. I think the reason why there was optimism about a win was because of the way the Chiefs had been playing. But I'm looking around the league, and I'm looking at, even if you look at the Tampa Bay Bucks last night, the way they were playing against the Giants early. Now, that's kind of their MO. They start slow. But I look at the Rams, I look at the Packers. The Cardinals are probably the only ones that have really stood out for me, the way that they're finding ways to win in the absence of key players. They're getting by with Colt McCoy right now. Mm-hmm. But I think it was easy for us to overlook some of these key injuries to this team. I mean, when you're missing your starting left tackle, your 2 defensive ends, one of your best wide receivers, your second best wide receiver ahead of the first half, and then you've got Ezekiel Elliott who's been playing through pain in the knee. The fact that they got out of that game with it only being 10 points difference, not a moral victory, but I'm not willing to say that this team is trash and they're not going to make a run. Now, I think just even though the Raiders have lost the last 3 games, I wouldn't be surprised because I just got off the phone with Max Crosby. Listening to him talk about his love of Rod Marinelli was very similar to the way these guys talk about Dan Quinn and winning one for Rod or winning one for Rich Bisaccia. So I think you're going to get your best shot from the Raiders. And then if you can't go and beat the Saints on the road with the way that their injuries have been going this year, then I think I'll give them a little bit more over to your side of the fence.
Well, you don't know my side of the fence yet. I haven't spoken up yet. You're assuming. You're assuming, young lady. This is kind of we're starting with a broad picture, and we can go to pieces of the game if you want, but we're going to keep it fairly broad. You just brought up the Raiders, and we'll spend some time on that in the next segment. But it is interesting to me because you mentioned the division. You lose to the Raiders, gulp, and they beat the Giants. You got a 1.5 lead in the division. It's a brand new ball game. You're 7-4. The Eagles are 6-6 and coming, and then you got 3 road games in a row. So that is part of the gulp. That the position they find themselves in all of a sudden, the importance now of the Thanksgiving game against the Raiders, who have lost 3 straight. We'll get into all that. But there's some other narratives. We'll get big picture. You guys did a nice job of setting the stage for the big picture. Let's go to the game real quick, and then we can get back broad again and maybe visit more on what it means before we get into what the Thursday game means, which will be next segment. Some narratives flying around. Everybody is pointing a finger at, McCarthy's an idiot, Kellen Moore's an idiot, run the football more. They should have run the football more. I want to just mention something about that, because if you go back and study the game and look at the plays, Zeke limped off the field after 3 carries. They were down 9-0 that quickly. And Zeke limps off the field after 3 carries. And he's standing over there next to Britt Brown and ignoring him. I don't know what you guys saw in the stadium, but on TV, Britt wanted to check because the replay, that body completely squashed Zeke's ankle. And Zeke didn't want to have any part of it. He stood there and waved Britt off, and he's just hanging around on the sideline, and then he sneaks back into the game. But Zeke was not 20% of himself after he left the game. So if you're going to establish the run, it was not going to be Zeke. And when you lose Zeke after 3 carries, is an offensive coordinator going to go, we've got to really hammer the football in terms of Pollard and the line? So I don't like that narrative that's coming out, that, they're idiots for not establishing the run.
I think it's hard to establish the run given the struggles of the offensive line this year. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but maybe we should second guess the 2 moves you made on the left side. And I'll be interested to see if Tyron doesn't play, because I think all of us, we talked on the show, we were all pretty confident Tyron was playing in that game.
I thought he was.
Yeah.
And so, again, it goes back to him saying you can't replace one, you replace the others. It's fantasy football. They played a lot of fantasy football with that offensive line last week. And if you watched the game, Terrence Steele was really struggling over there on the left side, and now you've got Connor McGovern playing at left guard. I think it's hard to get the run going, especially when you've got Zeke who can't help you out with the offensive line. Even if you want to get – I mean, that affects you even in your passing game. And so I thought it was fascinating, too. I don't know if you heard Jerry Jones talking about it on 105 Through the Fan. They went into that game wanting to – 60% of the game they wanted to run the ball. They didn't get anywhere close to that. Cool. But I think, again, that was because the offensive line was struggling that whole game.
I mean, I went and did the math. I don't have it in front of me. I think they ran the ball 11 times on first down. If you run it well on first down, you can run it well on second down and keep running. Of those 11 runs, the average was 2.4 yards per carry. And there was 3 of those that were negative plays. So
was that Pollard one on first down? It's like the only carry that really
He had
only
like,
30 yards.
Yeah, yeah.
It was not a first down run.
Okay.
It was not. But I'm just saying, like, you could say, well, we wanted to run. Well, Zeke gets 1 yard, so it's 2nd and 9. If he got 8 yards, it's 2nd and 2. You might run it again, and then you are establishing the run. So it's not like they went away from it. It's kind of what Jane said.
Well, what was fascinating is, again, going back to the NFL research department, they help me out so much every week. I went and asked about this. The Cowboys averaged 172.8 rushing yards in their first 5 games. That was second most in the NFL. In their last 4 since week 6, they've averaged 94.8 rushing yards per game. And again, I think it all goes back to the offensive line.
Yeah.
Think about it with Lyle Collins, with Tyron Smith. Anytime I look at Dak struggles, it has to do with Tyron Smith.
There you go.
So I just think at some point they've got to really start addressing that left tackle position. But when I see the run game struggle or Dak struggle, I always feel like it goes back to Tyron Smith.
Nick made that point very strongly last week about the offensive line. We were wondering how real is the concern there. You were there, and you said you were heavy on that. In terms of this team being as good as we think it can be, this offensive line can't perform like that for this team to go anywhere. So that is a Tyron issue, mainly. But when he's not there, they're just not going to go very well.
And think how efficient they were at running the ball back in 2016. That was when we saw the best offensive line. Travis Frederick, you had Lyle Collins, you had Tyron Smith. Tyron Smith wasn't really – we didn't see him start dealing with injuries until, 3 years ago, 2 years ago?
No, he hasn't played a full season in at least 5 years.
But that 2016 year –
with Leary –
he was durable.
Sure.
But I felt that's when they were the most effective at running the ball, and people forget about that. So when they point at Zeke and the breakdown of Zeke, I'm always like, talk about the offensive line and the breakdown of the offensive line if you want to explain why they've moved away from the run game at times.
Yeah, when I'm telling everybody to relax off that loss, I'm not saying it because if that was the team that they have going for the rest of the season, don't relax. It's time to panic. I'm saying it because Tyron's coming back. Yeah. I'm saying it because Randy Gregory and Demarcus Lawrence are coming back. That's why Amari Cooper is going to be back. Like, if that's the finished product, what we saw against the Chiefs, you should definitely be worried.
That's a great point.
But what they have coming, I just think that I was stunned that the defense was able to play that well against the Chiefs.
See, that's where I want to go, and that's the positive I take from it. We had our discussion. If the Chiefs are going to win a Super Bowl, is it going to be more offense or defense? If the Cowboys... The defense, and this is why we're going to get into all this. This is why I'm particularly mad at Dak. I know fans are a little more mad than I am. A lot of David Moore attacked him. Clarence Hill attacked him. There's an attack on Dak, and there should be coming out of this game. But
an attack? What did they say? Did I miss this?
Oh yeah, their columns were heavy throwing it at Dak. But and I sent them both a text. I think it's the proper column to write. I mean, but with that being aside, the defense thing. Both these teams showed what they can do to a good offense defensively. That's a major positive to me. I mean, Micah was off the planet, and the Cowboys' defense was really good in this game. You had the number 1 offense and the number 3 offense, and it was a defensive battle. That shouldn't be ignored going forward, in my opinion, for both teams. But what's upsetting is when they were down 16-3, the defense then forced Kansas City to punt, fumble recovery, interception, punt on the next 5 possessions. And guess what they got out of it? A field goal. Mm-hmm. See, this offense, I mean, if you're going to be in a tough game on the road against Kansas City and your defense is doing that for you and it's a tight game and all you get in 5 possession turnovers is a field goal, you got to blame Dak, but in the offense. But I do find it to be a positive for both these teams' defense. Is anybody with me on that? Did you come out of the game with that thought at all?
Yeah, I thought I've always said if the defense just played middle of the pack, how good could this team be? But again, we just went through all of the pieces you're missing on offense. Dak overthrew a couple of balls, but let's talk about all the weapons he was missing.
All right, but that's excuses. I mean, Arizona doesn't have Murray, and they've won 2 of the last 3 games.
Do
those
they
are
have
excuses.
as many injuries to the offensive line or their wide receiver
That's
group
fine.
or their
That's
running
fine.
back?
Next man up, blah, blah,
It's a
blah.
lot of next men up.
But when you're in the game,
my point is he can't
and
be
you're in a
Superman.
fight, you don't blame the injuries. I don't think that's just a credo.
All
of
I
mine.
did was, I didn't attack Dak. I was asked the question earlier in the week about, is he a legitimate MVP candidate? And I said, no, I don't think so, because I don't think he will carry the team. I think they'll have some bumps and bruises. I don't think he's the type of guy that just carries the team. That's all I said. Let's just cool that talk, because that's not what he is. That's not what this team has been built. This team has been built to have a lot of weapons, and a lot of them are out or hurt right now. So I don't think it's excuses. They're just facts.
But let me ask you this real quick.
But look at their record so far and what he's done in the absence of. You could argue he has carried them at times on his back this
I
season,
agreed
and coming
with
off
both
a
of
pretty
y'all.
severe
and
injury.
Both of y'all are coming at me. I agreed with both of y'all.
No, that's fine. I'm just thinking from a bigger league perspective. If that's the case, though, MVP doesn't always go to that player, because, to be honest with you, other than Rodgers and when the Ravens are rolling, maybe Lamar Jackson, who really does? Because even Tom's got a lot of help from that defense. They don't win the Super Bowl without the defense. And then he's got all his buddies in there
And think
with
how many-
Gronk and Antonio Brown playing turn back the clock. Mike Evans is still at the top of his game. There's a lot going on there. So outside of Rodgers and maybe Lamar Jackson, maybe there's one other person I'm missing.
Brady.
There's definitely times.
Well, look at all the
There's
picks
definitely
he's
times
thrown.
when Patrick Mahomes has been on that level and stuff like that. I just don't know how many of those guys are really out there. But it's a good point that you're making, because I'm on Twitter a lot. I know there's a lot of people that feel that obviously that Dak can do that he can just carry the team and stuff like that. And obviously giving a chance, he didn't do it against the Chiefs.
He did it then.
I think if
right.
he plays well, he can. He didn't play well.
No, he can. I'm just saying he didn't do it in that game, because, to your point, the defense gave him the opportunities that if it's just if you could just get one big play here and you can just get on the scoreboard, who knows where that could have went. But that play just was never. This offense, regardless of if he's out there, no team in the NFL should hold this team without one touchdown. Just shouldn't happen.
Right.
I agree with that. But, I would argue it's 2 games that we've really seen him lay an egg.
2 of the last 3.
Yeah. I don't really count the Broncos game just because I know he wasn't 100% for
All right,
that one.
here is I don't know if you two look at it the same as you and I look at it. And Nick wrote a column that was exactly how I came out of the game thinking. We've done that many times.
Thank you.
Where I read your columns when I was doing the post-game show, and I'd go, Nick and I think alike.
How's that make you feel, Nick?
But, well,
I don't know.
I'm scared about that.
Debatable.
he used to like it. He might not anymore.
It's
But I mean, all right, let's go big picture. What does it mean? And when I say that, I think that you guys may think a little differently than we do. This is how you lose playoff games. I don't want to hear about who's in the game and who's not. It's all about this team getting to the playoffs and beating people. And we've seen 2 of the last 3 games how they can completely become non-competitive. That's how your season ends.
But the way I'm looking at it is if we do on a piece of paper the top 10 players of what I think their team is going to be in the playoffs, 4 of those guys were not on the field against Kansas City.
Right.
I just don't have blinders on to think that this is it. There's a lot coming that will change what they are in the playoffs.
Has that not been true all season? Has it not been true all season?
Well, they're not back yet.
No, but they've had several missing at every single stage of
but
the
these are
season.
some real key ones.
And if they continue to have that, they're not going to the Super Bowl.
Correct.
I'm saying that because those pieces are still there, with those pieces, they can go to the Super Bowl.
Right.
Without them, they can't.
But the NFL, every team is dealing with that. It's weird.
Not to their level.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But here's the issue that I have with and it happened last year too. They were getting multiple injuries at the same position. So when you have both of your defensive ends out and then you have both of your wide receivers out, I mean that it's one thing to just have one guy here and there and you pick it up, but
You're messing with 2 offensive linemen, or 3 if you really think about it.
Right. Only that's just a train wreck there. I mean, they're in the center. I mean, in the center of the line, and then without. I mean, I don't think they make the move with McGovern if they think Tyron's not going to play. I really don't think that they would
I
have
think
done
you're probably
that.
right.
So
Yeah.
I just think it's one thing to yes, everyone's having 7 or 8 key players, but we're talking about 7 or 8 key players at 4 positions, and that's really hurting your depth.
Yeah.
Cedric Wilson's a nice player. He doesn't need to be the number 2 receiver.
Well, him and Gallup, everybody loves both of them, but they can't drop the ball. And in 2 games, all of a sudden that they roll over in offensively, their receivers are dropping balls. I mean, the ones that Dak did put on the money drop.
I had a problem.
Drop.
I had a problem with what Cedric Wilson said after the game about the little pop pass that I've never seen anyone drop other than him. And he said, "Well, I thought it was supposed to be a handoff." See, that was the biggest thing. I mean, it's not just dropping the ball for 2 inches away. It's not being on the same page of like this is a handoff or this is a pass.
Right.
Of course, Dak's like, give me the passing yard.
All right, let's take a break here, and I want to throw this comment out because I can't wait to hear Slater's reaction to it because we've been in this discussion for about 4 shows now. My biggest takeaway from the game, no matter how good this team is, no matter how good they're gonna be, I think what we've learned in this little stretch is you can't trust it. You can't trust them.
I can't wait to talk
and
about this.
what's even worse than that is you can't trust Dak.
Oh, my God.
All right, that's next on Media Mash.
Honey, big news.
Gary, are you okay?
Oh, I'm not Gary anymore. I'm Jackie Flash.
What?
See, I want the latest smartphone, but the best deals are only for new customers. So, to get a new customer deal, I changed my name to Jackie Flash.
Okay, but the best smartphone deals at AT&T are for everyone, new and existing customers.
That's huge. Then guess who's getting a deal?
Is it Jackie Flash?
Jackie Flash.
It's not complicated. At AT&T, our best smartphone deals are for everyone. Restrictions apply. Visit att.com for details.
New Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. You deserve it.
I do deserve that.
You deserve decadent flavor without sugar. And a day at the beach without sand getting everywhere. And a relaxing bath that your children don't interrupt.
I deserve all that?
It's really just a visual metaphor for Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. Everything you want, nothing you don't.
A visual metaphor on the radio. I do deserve that.
Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. The zero you deserve is finally here.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at stetson.com/cowboys.
There's nothing as unique as our eyes, which is why Essilor pioneers ways to make lenses as unique as you. Verilux for super sharp vision, Essential Blue for protection, and Crizal for freedom from glare. 3 cutting-edge solutions in a single unique lens. So whatever your needs, insist on Essilor. Visit your local Essilor experts and find the perfect lens for you. See more, do more, Essilor.
Back to Media Mash.
Name of the show is Media Mash. So glad you're with us. John Machota from The Athletic is the youngest of the gentlemen in here. Not by much, but in your case. Nick Eatman of All Cowboys Production and Management. You know him well from The Break and many other things. He's here. Slater Jane. Jane Slater from the NFL Network is here. One of my all-time favorites in my 41-year career. Glad you're with us, Slater.
Well, let's just have that conversation and see if that changes.
Yeah, it won't change. It won't change. Slater and I had some experience on the Cowboys pregame show on TXA 21 and CBS 11, going at each other a little bit. So you're not going to change the way we go at each other. But I really do believe this, and we've been in this discussion, and you think I'm Mr. Negative all the time, which I don't like the word negative. I am cynical. And I do believe it is our job as media, journalism, to hold people accountable in a truthful way, whether it be the President of the United States or the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. And I get it. It's quite a reach to compare that to that. But those of us in sports, when we get to the end of our career, we have to admit that we just did it in sports instead of news that really matters, but it's the same principle. And my takeaway from this game is you can't trust them. They're good. They're a good football team. We all know that. And where are they headed? We don't know that. Where do we think we're headed? It depends on who you are. But after the Denver game and then the Atlanta game and then this game, it's apparent to me that no matter what you're thinking, positive, negative, cynical, whatever, you can't trust them. You don't know what they're going to do in big moments until you see it. And I think what's even worse is you can't trust Dak. And this thing is all about Dak. I think we all agree to that. Dak is their leader. And if Dak is going to play that bad at home against Denver and this bad on the road at Arrowhead, you can't trust him either. Here's Jane Slater.
I just think it's such a bold, dramatic statement to say after 2 losses that you can't trust this quarterback. And I will go back to the same argument I had after we talked about this in the Broncos game. Look at the way he played on the road against the Tampa Bay Bucks, the defending Super Bowl champions. Look at the way they played against the Chargers. Look at the way they played up in New England against that defense and Bill Belichick on the road. So I've conceded that you're going to have to give me a bigger sample size before I come to your side on this. I don't not trust him, especially after the Broncos game, seeing them come out and completely dominate against the Falcons. Now, you can say what you want about the Falcons, but I trust Dak's mental resilience. I trust his preparation. I trust his moxie. And I trust that he's going to turn this one around again the same way we saw him turn it around after the Broncos game.
My point is, I don't know why we have to trust him. Like I kind of agree with you again. Oh my gosh, but
be careful.
But not in a cynical way, though. It's not my job to trust him. I agree with what Jane said, though. I mean, he's a bounce back guy. He's a leader. Like, he will play well. But this team hasn't proven that they're going to just go in and worse than just losing games. On some of the really big moments in the last couple years, they're stuck on this 9. They don't even get touchdowns. They did it against the Eagles with a chance to win the division a couple years ago. Did it in New England. They don't always score. So, I don't know if I trust them completely that they're going to go win a big game, but I have confidence that he's the guy to do it. I mean, if they do it, they're going to go down swinging with Dak. He's the man. But I don't necessarily trust it now because it's not my job to trust it.
Let me ask you guys a question. Could this team use an extra piece or two? This is not exactly a team that we've seen go out and make a trade and add to the roster the way that some of these other teams do that feel like it's their year and making a push.
So how are they going to do it?
Are the Cowboys missing anything that you guys think that they should add? What would it be?
Jane, how are they going to add them?
Can't do it now.
Can't do
it now. But that's my point.
Well, but I mean, I've gotten hoarse saying that I think they need a better center.
Yeah, and they let the trade deadline just go bye-bye. They do it every year.
I'm finding a center that's in his last year or two in his contract on a team that's not that competitive and saying, well, I mean, I see him in the building all the time. I mean, I don't know. But, I mean, I think they missed the boat on that one. I thought that they should have gotten, better offensive linemen up front. And if they're ready to move La'el Collins to left guard, I mean, I would do that.
All right, Machota, back to the trust. Where are you?
I'm probably closer on this with Jane. I mean, when you mentioned the president thing, in comparison to the Cowboys quarterback, I mean,
it's dramatic.
Dak's not that far away from Roger in the sense of 20 years from now. I mean, just the Dak that I've seen behind the scenes, I probably would vote for him for president. But anyway,
I think I would too.
Yeah. So anyway, but no, that's not what we're talking about here. So anyway, no, I'm a little bit closer with Jane on this because I think that I don't think that he's Aaron Rodgers. I don't think he's Tom Brady.
Yet.
But there's just not many guys that I think would be doing that much better of a job than he's doing. Like, you have one of the elite quarterbacks, and he's had some bad games. I also think, with that being said, watch the guy that you see Thursday. Just watch that. I will be stunned if he doesn't ball out. He's going to be very, very good in that game.
Well, let's talk about Thursday.
And what guy do you really trust in the league right now? Name me 3 quarterbacks that you 100% trust after 2 losses.
Their fan bases. Their fan bases.
Point. I agree with that.
Okay.
After 2 losses in a season and the schedule that
Brady
they have.
and Rodgers, slam dunks. Sure. Their fan bases totally trust them when it matters. Those 2 for sure.
That hardcore Tampa fan base.
Now you're in a discussion. Buffalo with Josh Allen. He's probably where Dak is.
Yeah, there's no way they trust him more than Dak right now.
Murray's new in the game.
He play anymore?
I mean, it doesn't matter. Colt McCoy's winning without him.
But look how long Brady and Rodgers have been in the game. I mean, we're only talking 6 years into Dak.
But no,
I
that's
just
enough.
Feel like it's so
6 years is
dramatic
enough.
to say
Mahomes.
we can't trust him.
Well, yeah.
Well, do you trust him this year?
Chiefs fans do, absolutely.
Yeah. No, I trust Mahomes.
Their fan base trusts Mahomes. And when I say you can't trust him, it's not about. I'm speaking like from fans can't trust him. Who cares what I trust or not trust?
I care.
To me, it's a fan thing. Can you fans trust him? Can you trust this team when you are so balled up nervous when they're playing that first playoff game and you're thinking, oh, how good are we? How good are we? Please, we've been waiting for 25 years. Can you trust them? And that's the discussion to me. And to go to Arrowhead in a game where Mahomes played almost as poorly as Dak did, and the defense held Kelsey, held Tyreek, although it looked like he was going to have 30 catches at one point, and then the offense does nothing
because again,
to help you win the football game.
Mahomes had Tyreek the Freak and Travis Kelsey. Now, to your credit, we had this discussion who had more weapons, and heading into that game, I said the Cowboys did. But the Cowboys simply didn't have the same sort of weapons Mahomes had in that game.
Well, because one of theirs was unvaccinated.
And Tyreek. But look what this defense was able to do to mitigate the damage of those two guys. But Cowboys didn't have the type of weapons that they had that day.
All right, let's talk about what it means for Thursday. There's our best discussion on what it means in general. What does it mean for the game day after tomorrow? Thanksgiving, Raiders. They've lost 3 straight. They're not a world beater except they got the best pass rush in the NFL. And we just saw Chris Jones feast on Dak. The Raiders are the number 1 pass rush team in the league. Crosby's a monster. Ngakwe's a monster. They've got guys that are coming. And you made the point about the defensive coordinator. So where do we think, whatever happened, however you want to categorize it in Arrowhead, where do you think we are right now in terms of how that performance means anything for Thursday on Thanksgiving?
Oh, the biggest thing was that email that we got about an hour and a half ago that said that Tyron Smith was a full participant in practice. That's the biggest difference. It's a trickle down. Like, the offensive line is a trickle down. Like, when you take away your top piece, well, I'd say second. I'd still probably put Zach ahead of him. But Tyron's right there.
He manhandles.
Yeah, when you
guys
take
on the
him
other
out,
side.
everybody else's job changes. There's more on your plate. And so when you get Tyron back, everybody else's job gets just a little bit easier on that. And again, that's an outstanding defensive front. Like, I'm not saying it's going to be easy or anything, but you tell me that Tyron Smith is playing in that game, it's going to look better than it did in Kansas City.
And I do think that if you want to talk about quarterbacks I don't trust, Carr. I don't trust Carr.
No,
I don't trust their offense.
Most you're not. There's like we came up. There's like 3 names of guys. Like when Steve did the whole like people saying they're all nervous watching the playoffs. Like, yeah, it's the NFL. Like other than like whose fans aren't? Like the Broncos fans. Like I don't know. Being at Arrowhead, talking to some people there, it's not like the Chiefs fans think that they're just going to run right back to the Super Bowl. I think personally they're going back to the Super Bowl. But like, how many fan bases really aren't sitting there the first week of the playoffs going, I don't know what we got. I don't know what we got. And especially this season when no one's going in like 16-1 or 15-2. Like everybody's going to be nervous.
When you guys are busy in Arrowhead and the game just ended and you're doing your work and you're writing and doing what you're doing, I read a tweet from a Cowboys fan. I laughed for 15 minutes. And the tweet said, why can't we just be good for a change?
But you are good.
I
Look
hate
at the record.
being a fan of this team.
Look at the teams they've played this year on the road.
I'm from Detroit.
Their schedule.
Stop.
No, but they're just saying, why can't we really just be good
Such an
without
entitlement.
this kind
The
of
schedule
stuff?
has
from
been
Detroit.
The schedule has been brutal this year too, and so I did not expect the Cowboys to play as well as they have this year with Dak coming off the injury that he had. With the schedule, the way that it came out, the way that they've played has actually surprised me, and that's why I've been more confident in this team than I started off this season.
Well, go ahead, Nick.
Well, it just goes back to, like, you're talking about fans and trust, and, like, I'm a fan of a college team. I mean, I never trust that the team's going to do it. I mean, I'm just cynical that
I'm
way.
the same way.
That's just the way I am. But McCarthy trusts them. McCarthy trusts that the Cowboys are going to win the toss, go get the ball again, and go score and set the tone. They went 3 and out, and Dak missed Michael Gallup on a play that probably could have changed a lot of things.
And then the Chiefs drove it.
Yeah.
They got up, and then Dak fumbled it.
It backfired. So all this trust stuff, who cares if Joe Walker in Wyoming, who's a big Cowboy fan, it says, I don't trust him. It doesn't matter. But McCarthy does. Jerry and Steven do. The Cowboys trust these guys to go do it. And maybe that's all that the players really need.
I don't trust the offensive line. I feel like they've trusted Terrence Steele on the left side too much the last 2 weeks. They trusted making the move in the absence of.
So, Nseki?
No, to your point.
I haven't heard great feedback on that one.
Right, but to your point earlier, when you said about they got to start looking for a Tyron replacement, that's what they're probably trying to do right now. They're going to try and do everything they can in this time that, hey, maybe all of a sudden you look 2 years down the road and you're like, whoa, they developed like the heir apparent at left tackle. Who would have ever thought that would have happened? And I'm just saying, going off of what McCarthy said, and going back to the way he built offensive lines in Green Bay, like he wasn't a guy that spent a lot of first-round picks on the offensive line, and he was able to find diamonds in the rough type guys that they helped develop and bring along. I'm not saying that that's going to be Terrence Steele, but if that could potentially be why they're putting him in there to develop him to be that. I thought
Terrence did a really nice job on the right side, so why fix something if it isn't broke is my point.
Well, because Lyle's better.
But Liz Lyle.
But given the fact that you've got a patchwork offensive line, it's not a matter of who's better. I think you need to do who's just best for the group as a whole.
Who would you put at left tackle?
I'd trust a veteran like Lyle Collins there.
They didn't.
I know they didn't, and it didn't work.
I don't. Yeah,
that's another thing. Going back to our earlier conversation about the run game, we are all, I would say, as embedded as you can be, but we still don't know everything. And I can tell you this right now: they're not going to come out and tell us about trust issues they have on certain guys on the offensive line that, like, after the first 5 plays, they're not going to sit there and say, oh, yeah, we knew after those first 5 that we were not going to be able to block them in the run game, so we ditched the run game. They'll never say that. No. But behind the scenes, there's times when that absolutely happens, where they're just like, okay, I know that these whole plays on the side, we're not running those today. That's not going to happen.
Tampa.
Those are disasters. Right.
Tampa.
But that's why I don't think they're done. And I think this was that whole left guard situation. Remember, who was it? Was it you that was here or Rob Phillips? Earlier in the year, I said, I don't think they're done with this offensive line. And somebody said, well, what do you know? And I said, I just think they're going to make a change at some point at left guard. I was hearing whispers about the Connor stuff early in the season. So I think because it's a contract year for Connor, they're truly trying to figure out what they can get there. And to your point, maybe they think they're being smart. And maybe, because it's still early in the season, depth is not a bad thing for them in terms of rotating guys out, getting guys some rest, in the course of a game. Maybe all of this works in their favor.
Oh, but for this year, though, I'll just be clear. If you don't have Tyron Smith, you're not going to the Super Bowl.
I 1,000% agree with that.
Well, here come the Raiders, and Carr knows what it's like to be Dak Prescott against Kansas City about every game. I mean, he's always under pressure, and he's having a nice little year. 65% completion percentage, 16 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 3,000 yards, a 97 rating. He can be scary. And now their running game has been dealing with injuries. Jacobs has been in and out. I really believe, again, I always just think big picture anymore. I know that you guys, because I used to be there, you go week to week and you evaluate week to week. I feel like I'm a little different than I used to be because there were so many seasons and so many discussions. And Romo, I mean, my gosh, we that whole era, Romo needs help. No, Dak doesn't need help. When your offensive line is struggling and Amari's not vaccinated, bye-bye, and CD hits his head, the quarterback who makes $160 million in the next 4 years needs to play better. That's just it. And I said this when Romo was the quarterback, and I'll say it again. He didn't play good enough in Denver, and he didn't play good enough about Kansas City. Now, Denver was a blowout. He had no chance in that
But he did own it.
And that's just the fact. And Derek Carr needs to play better. That's why the Raiders have lost 3 straight, and they're in a playoff hunt. And you're talking about the schedule. Let's get to the schedule because they've got 6 games left. 7 and 3. 7 games left, 6 after this one. Mm-hmm. And they play one team above 500. So the opportunity, but man, back to the gulp. If they don't get this game Thursday, and they're on the road for 3 straight, and all of a sudden they're fighting for the division, we're having totally different conversations than we've had.
Oh, if this NFC East picture, if we start watching these other teams like the Eagles start closing the gap, then you're going to see Cowboy fans lose their absolute minds.
Yeah, that's great.
Especially
And
when you
that's
look
great
at-
for podcasts like these.
You know
so
why?
great.
Because the potential of this team, and I'm with you, adversity is hit. And McCarthy knows it. Everybody knows it. Adversity has hit a lot of teams in the league. Maybe the Cowboys a little harder.
Can you win a Super Bowl without adversity, though? Does anybody just coast to it? I don't think it's ever happened.
I mean, look what the Eagles did a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
We had a team in our fantasy league last year that didn't have a single injury all year and won the championship. So I guess
Does
it's
that
possible.
change the way you think about it as fantasy?
Yeah.
So I guess it's possible.
I stand corrected.
All right, let's get to who's in, who's out. These guys would know the latest on CD, Zeke, etc., Tyron. And then let's also look ahead a little bit to the game Thursday and beyond. Next on Media Mash.
Hi, I'm Clint Tillison with
And I'm Jay Novacek, and we're both with
United Ag and Turf, the official tractor provider of the Dallas Cowboys.
So, if you need a tractor to bale some hay, a mower to cut some grass, or a gator to get some chores done,
Get a John Deere at United Ag and Turf.
and then let's get to work.
Hey, Jay, that's my line.
Well, not today.
Get to work with a John Deere tractor package that's just right for you and your budget. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. Where we are all defined by one single thing, the star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way.
Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys? Jack Black. Right now you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
Honey, big news.
Gary, are you okay?
Oh, I'm not Gary anymore. I'm Jackie Flash.
What?
See, I want the latest smartphone, but the best deals are only for new customers. So, to get a new customer deal, I changed my name to Jackie Flash.
Okay, but the best smartphone deals at AT&T are for everyone, new and existing customers.
That's huge. Then guess who's getting a deal?
Is it Jackie Flash?
Jackie Flash.
It's not complicated. At AT&T, our best smartphone deals are for everyone. Restrictions apply. Visit att.com for details.
Back to Media Mash.
Steve Dennis, John Machota, Nick Eatman, Slater Jane from the NFL Network. It's Media Mash. Micah Parsons just came up in the break. The thing, as we get into our final segment here, go until about 4:32, I believe. The thing that impressed me most about Micah Parsons, real quick before I forget this, in that game, is Patrick Mahomes is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And one of the things that makes him that is he has a feel for the game, old school feel for the game. He knows... he's just intuitive. He knows what's around him. And that one sack fumble, he knew Micah was behind him. He got out of there, and he knows how fast he is. And Micah got him. That surprised Mahomes because he knows he got out of trouble there, and as fast as he is, so Micah's so good that it had to change the clock of Mahomes going forward. He just closed on him.
It happened the same exact way week 2, Justin Herbert on that sack where they called it a sack where Justin Herbert kept dropping back. He's like, I got time to get rid of this. And then boom, he closed it so fast. I mean, teams will obviously adjust to it, but it is freaky. Like, people don't think, and that's going back to him in the combine. Well, they didn't do he ran his 40 at Penn State. And there was all this talk about, like, who was going to run a faster 40 between him and Justin Fields. And I'm pretty sure he beat him out. And you just don't see that from a guy that can play D-end and linebacker.
And Fields runs a 4.4.
Right.
But I think he watches film with the same intensity that Sean Lee did. And I think that that's something that was missing from the linebackers group without naming names.
No, geez, let me think. Who could it be? Jeez.
But my point is, I think
he had a brand. He had a
really,
brand to work on.
What stands out to me about Micah, he talks a lot. He's got a lot of energy. You know, in some cases, when somebody comes along in your profession, a new coworker, and they're that eager, that can be annoying. But because he's so freaking good, and he wants to be good, and he wants more on his plate, I think that's what's kind of pulled me over to his side. I'm like, this kid's gonna be legitimately something special.
Yeah, I mean, what was the quote today? Probably one of the best.
The rookie
quotes.
wall.
I mean, that's one of the best quotes that anybody has said all year, and it's so true. I mean, I can't go word for word with it. Can you?
He said, I had asked him about what it meant to him to have someone like Patrick Mahomes call you a special player. And he had said, you know, everyone keeps telling me there's going to be a rookie wall.
Yeah, I got it right here. People
but he
always
said, I want
talk
to climb
about
the wall.
People always talk about the rookie wall, but I just keep climbing and climbing because I'm excited to see what's on the other side of that wall.
Well, see, that's what this team is good. We all know that, and it's good. The future's good, and the reason is because you got Dak Prescott's another one, and to why you love him, same reason we all love him: work ethic.
Doesn't sound like you love him, Steve.
Oh, I do, but
okay.
you've got to criticize bad performances,
right.
man. You just can't let them happen.
But he will criticize
if you're going to win a Super Bowl.
But he would criticize his own performance.
Right.
But in general, that talent has to show up when it matters. That's the discussion. Some would say Arrowhead mattered because it was a big stage. Oh, let's see what they got. Let's see. And I ask you and you on Thursday, can he win an MVP Sunday? And I don't think you guys said no. He did the opposite. He took himself out of it, possibly.
No, he's still in it.
And
nobody's pulling away. Packers losing? Hey, Packers losing to that Minnesota team. I'm pretty sure Cooper Rush beat them. Is Aaron pulling away from that? I think Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in the league, but you lost to the Vikings in Minnesota? Really?
I think Colt McCoy's making a hell of a start.
You're right. I forgot about him. Real quick here. I think a lot of people notice, Cowboys fans in particular, how the size of and everything that's going on Mike McCarthy's play sheet. There's a lot there. The only thing that rivals that is everything that Steve has going on over here. What is all of this stuff?
Because he is like Dak and Micah Parsons.
He
prepares for our show.
Let me tell you about Micah
color-coded.
Parsons. Yeah.
Well, real quick, you remember me in the press box. I was the same way. I've always sprawled
notes.
You're prepared.
And had a bunch of stuff.
I could tell you, though, what some of the things are on the other side of that wall for Micah Parsons. One of them is Defensive Rookie of the Year. He's gonna get that trophy.
I think he was getting annoyed that Trayvon Diggs was in the discussion and he wasn't. Remember, it was Trayvon that got the first honors, that NFC Player of the Week or Defensive Player of the Week, and Micah told Trayvon that he got it. I think that he likes
Pro Bowl. I think is another thing that's
100%.
going to happen. I mean, inside backer. I mean, backers get. You know what's funny is that linebackers kind of weird with the Pro Bowl because some defensive ends. And outside linebacker, if you're not in a 3-4, you have no shot because these outside linebackers are getting 7, 8, 10 sacks. Well, Micah's an inside linebacker. I think on the Pro Bowl ballot as an inside backer.
Sure.
But he's got 8 sacks, and so that's.
I'm thinking far, far ahead here, but let's just assume 10, 20 years we're talking about him in Hall of Fame status. And again, putting him way too far. What do you put him in as? And when he goes up for contract negotiations, what are the comps for him?
He's going to want it, defensive end comps.
He's going to get the money.
Let me ask you guys this real
quick.
Which
is a better question than your first.
Where do you guys think he should play?
I think he needs to rush the passer. However that happens.
I think he needs to play linebacker, and then he wherever it is. You just don't know where it is. It doesn't matter. I don't care. Tom Brady, who's seen everything. Peyton Manning. Maybe Peyton could figure it out. But I mean, if you just don't know where this guy's going to line up, I think
he's still going to get
an advantage.
He's Dallas's Taysom Hill on defense.
Well, we had the same.
But again, going back to Taysom Hill, I mean, you got a nice contract with incentives, but think how much more money you make if you're just a quarterback.
But I would argue, Taysom Hill's not very good at all the stuff he does.
Sean Payton disagrees.
Well, Sean Payton could be wrong, and he may be dabbling with that dude a little too long here, but we'll see. Demarcus Ware. We had these discussions about him. He's the new LT. And now they're saying it about Micah. Oh, he reminds me of a young LT. And Demarcus is going to the Hall of Fame. Same thing. That kid needs to get to the quarterback, whether it was a 3-4 or the 4-3. Doesn't matter. Get to the quarterback. That's where his skill is, and it is the rarest of skills in the league. So why wouldn't you use him doing that?
Because Demarcus Lawrence can't play linebacker. I mean, and that's, I mean, you use your guys the best way. If I got Gregory here and I've got D-Law here and then I've got Parsons and Van Der Esch in the middle for most of the time, that's a really, really good defense. But on 3rd and 8, who says D-Law can't slide inside or Gregory inside, Parsons over here? Not every 3rd and 8, not every 3rd and long, but just sometimes.
Are we convinced Gregory's back next year?
I mean,
I'd love to
are we
see him
convinced
back.
Lawrence is back?
Well, that's
the thing. If you're going to move Micah Parsons to defensive end all the time, that's fine, but it won't be with these three. I don't think this is the year to do it. I think you figure it out now, see what happens.
But I'm saying what you said in your comment. As long as he's trying to, as long as they're scheming it to where he's getting to the quarterback, I don't care where he does it from.
Just stay on the field. That's my thing.
Isn't it wild to you guys that he did not play that senior year at Penn State? Barely played.
Helped them. Helped the Cowboys.
I think he's hungrier because of that.
And I think,
but the fact that he barely even played that position that they've put him in, and we typically talk about how the game
They just
moves,
didn't need him that Penn
right,
State
but we
at that
talk about
spot.
how the game moves so fast for these rookies and how well he's responding. I mean, just think about how good he could be. Of course, if he stays healthy, that's the big thing in the league.
And I still want to give Dan Quinn or whomever credit because his skill is so rare. I mean, he could have played linebacker, and they may not have even explored
There is
it.
no way Mike Nolan and Jim Tomsula would utilized him this year the way that Dan Quinn.
They would watch it in practice and go, he really is quick.
I think we all kind of laughed at it. Remember when he said it at training camp? We were all like, this kid said he can rust pat, and we are like, that's cute.
Yeah. Well, I will say this for anybody out there, because I know it is a big talking point. That's why I brought it up on Twitter about, where should he be? Should he be a defensive end? I think it was pretty clear today, and he said this before, but he said it again today. Like, he doesn't love the chip life of how you get chipped on, and when you're just playing defensive end all the time.
Right.
And he makes jokes about it.
Said he'll give him back.
Right. But he's like, I can't wait for Demarcus and Randy to get back. They can have those chips. They can have those and stuff.
He wants to roam in space.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's a lion. He's hungry.
And he's going to face some stuff though. Now that teams are seeing, oh my gosh, this guy, we got to do this and this and this. He'll see some of that.
But when you just look at his numbers compared to other pass rushers in the league and rookies on the defensive side of the ball, it is very impressive.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, who's in? Let me throw a name out. You guys know. I don't. Fans might not. Zeke. Is Zeke going to play Thursday?
Yeah. Yes.
HP?
Yeah.
HP?
Yeah. He's playing.
100%.
100% Zeke?
He compared the knee thing to stubbing your toe.
I was so mad. Real quick. It's a 30-second story.
How does it make you feel when he's like, I played through the injuries, and Amari's like, yeah, I pulled myself out.
Zeke is so impressive to me because I'm telling you, his ankle got crunched.
Oh, it was bad.
And he's already fighting a knee, and there was no way he was coming out of that game. And I watch all the games in the league. I've got that luxury now. You guys are busy on game day. And I see superstar player, they got a little chest. And they go back to the tent. The trainer comes over, disappears, gone. And then they do x-rays on Monday. Came out negative. Don't play through anything, some of these stars in the league now, which is okay, I guess. It's not the way it used to be.
He's always kind of put his body on the line, though, if you look at the way he's gone after.
Zeke wanted Britt as far away from him as he could get him, and he was very coy. He's standing there, and then all of a sudden he's back in the game. But he couldn't run.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just fighting. All right, Zeke's in. Tyron's a slam dunk, right?
I mean, hard to say after last week.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a slam dunk.
No, we're not. I mean, he's driving to the rim, but I don't know if he's going to lay it up, pass it off, or just hammer it home and break the backboard, but that's what they need.
Or do you wait another week and put him up against the Saints?
Well, I was at 75% going into the last game. I'm at 95 now.
Given this pass rush and these guys,
they need to win this game.
Yeah.
This is a must-win game.
All of a sudden, it is a huge.
You got to
game.
win this.
I think it's big for the final stretch of the season. Yes,
got to win this.
All right, I'm going to do this. We'll be very brief, and it's up to you guys. Does anybody want to agree with Michael Irvin and scream at Amari for not being vaccinated?
No,
because he's not playing this weekend. That's two big games that he hurt his football team no matter how you look at it. So any comment? Do we want to do it? Do we not?
If he was vaccinated and he got COVID.
If he was vaccinated, he wouldn't have been tested. So he had no symptoms.
Well, he would have played Kansas City.
He would have played.
And then he would have if he had COVID. I mean, you're kind of missing that point too, aren't we? He had other players. He's over here playing football, and he would have been tested. He would have missed this game. So he plays Kansas City. He misses this game, and then the next one he's going to miss too. If you test positive for COVID, you're going to miss 2 games probably. So I think where it's really an issue is if you're not vaccinated, and then the practice squad receiver gets COVID and you're over here with them, and now you're on a different protocol than the other receivers because you're not vaccinated. That's where I think it's really going to hurt, and it's hurt some other. I think it hurt Devontae Adams, I believe, a few weeks ago. It's hurt other players like that too.
I would just say I respect a person's choice, but you also have to understand the consequences of your choice.
That's
so
true.
In other words, and I had asked this of Mike McCarthy during the Aaron Rodgers stuff, how seriously are you guys taking the COVID situation at this point in the year when you look at how close the NFC is and the division? Because then we're talking football. It's the competitive aspect of it. It's something that can hurt you. And so the only thing I would slap Amari on the wrist here for is knowing that you've chosen not to get vaccinated, the importance of doing everything in your power to mitigate those risks, especially when we saw how much this thing was going around with the coaching staff and the players. Sure. And it wasn't like these guys were testing and asymptomatic. I mean, some of these guys were really struggling, right? They lost their sense of taste and smell, and it was really lingering around. That would have woke me up enough to know, well, I don't want to give my team a competitive disadvantage.
Well, and Jerry said it. Jerry's not happy. He couldn't have been more clear on the radio.
He could have been more clear. That's Jerry.
He was pretty clear. He was pretty clear.
He liked to dance around. If he was clear, I can tell you, I transcribe a lot. If he was clear, the transcription would have been 1, tops 2 sentences. That answer was like 45.
But I think what he was saying
he praised Amari as a person.
Sure, there was some dancing around.
What he was saying is he's an incredibly cerebral player. He's probably one of the smartest players next to like the Travis Fredericks, the Zach Martins on this team.
But he said, "Leave your me at the door. This is a we thing."
Sure. Agree with that,
and that is strong enough.
But I
you
think where
to find that quote. It's
I think where the players at least respect where he's coming from, and probably very similar to Aaron Rodgers is. These guys at least did, I think, very thoughtful research and came to that decision on their own, and I respect that thoughtful research. What you can't respect as a teammate, though, is putting your team at a disadvantage for not mitigating, knowing the consequences and the limitations of not getting vaccinated.
And it diminishes your teammates who did get vaccinated, even though they didn't want to. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you also... And I don't know what the numbers are. I think we've all heard different things. From what I have been told several times, there's 2 guys that haven't been vaccinated, at least 2, and they both had COVID. So I mean, now moving forward, I don't know if that issue is going to come out. And I'm not saying guys won't get it again because it happened. It happened to Zerline the other day. I mean, it happened, but you'd like to think that it's not going to be that situation of unvaccinated guys. That's just
people,
from what I heard.
real quick, people aren't going to care about this, and they should, but we also haven't talked to Amari. Like, he might have a reason. That might be a pretty good reason why he didn't want to get the vaccine.
We have talked to him. He just hasn't. He didn't answer it. Like he doesn't answer that question, right? He doesn't talk about why, his reasons and stuff. Hasn't he been asked that question?
I'm sure.
Does it serve you to talk about your reasons, though? Because I don't feel like a lot of people... care to hear the reasons.
Well, the reason why Jerry's unhappy is because the reasons aren't good enough if you care about your football team.
Which is what Michael Irvin said.
Right. All right, let's get to CD Lamb. Where do you think things are with CD?
I think he's got a shot. I really do. I think he didn't practice. They didn't list him as practicing today. I think he did. He was able to do some stuff though.
I think when we were walking out there, I'm pretty sure I saw him walking back in. He wasn't there at the beginning of practice, but when we went out for interviews after, it looked like he was walking in. Yeah.
He's been in meetings.
What's your hunch around the table, real quick? What's your hunch? CD?
I'd play. Yeah.
My hunch is still no.
No, Jane.
I'm tending to lean that way too. There's other players that I've covered in the league this year who've had concussion. I think Taysom Hill was one of them. He was out for 2 weeks?
They are so tricky. I hate when people take like certain injuries and they're like, this guy missed this one. Concussions, you cannot do that.
Yeah, so to me, that one's a tricky
But
one.
he was close to being able to go back in the game. He thought he should have been. He's been
pretty
doing
nasty one. If you look back at the tape.
Yeah, he's been doing well.
Real quick, we got to go. We got 2 minutes here. Just the mood of the team on this Tuesday. You guys were around them. You did some interviews. You watched practice. Anything at all you can share 2 days away from, I think, a huge football game. Machota?
Yeah, it's a huge football game. My big takeaway is just that I feel like they're pretty pumped that they get to play on Thursday and they don't have to wait till Sunday. I think that, and then also the fact of getting Tyron Smith back, they're going to be healthier than they were against the Chiefs. And frankly, I think Dak plays better at home, and he's angry off the way he played. It was pretty clear after the game he was pissed off. Regardless of what question he was being answered, he was pretty pissed off. I expect him to play very well.
Yeah, I agree. I think that a lot of them said, hey, we got to get back out there, get back on the field as quick as you can and get your mentals right and get all that stuff ready to go. But more than anything, get back there. Mind over matter. That's the big thing for a short week.
If you just covering this team last year, these guys were so defeated, mentally soft. There was a lot of quit in them. I just don't see that from this team this year. I think they could potentially. I think on both sides of the ball.
I don't remember much point on offense. The defense.
I don't think that the Chiefs game is going to be their last loss of the year. I think they could easily have one or two more. But I still think that this team is a very, very good football team that when they get back a lot of these players, they've established some established some depth, and I don't have reason to believe that they can't hang in there in the postseason.
All right, they've got Vegas 5-5, New Orleans 5-5, Washington 4-6, the Giants 3-7, Washington again 4-6, Arizona 9-2, Philly 5-6, and coming. Win the Vegas game.
And Freddie Kitchens, potentially an offensive coordinator for the Giants to turn things around.
We should mention that. Tip of the cap to Jason Garrett, lost his job today. The Giants have a lot of problems. I'm sure Garrett wasn't the biggest one.
No.
But he was the fall guy. He got fired. If they beat Vegas, my opinion, they're going to eat up the schedule the rest of the way. If they lose to Vegas, I think a lot of stuff creeps in. A lot of stuff, including the Eagles.
I know we're about to go, but like, why? Why does one game matter to another?
Because I think
43-3, 19-9. Like 7 days later. I mean, the games are different.
It's like Brady said last night.
They don't carry it with them.
It's like Brady said last night. They lost 2 games in a row, and if they'd have made it 3 against the Giants, he would have been really concerned, and they didn't. They ended 2 games in a row.
So whatever,
when you're a contending NFL team, you don't want that.
So whatever they did to stop the 2 games, they could have stopped it in the 3. I mean, I just don't think it matters.
Yeah, guys, stop getting hurt.
Well, let's talk about that next week.
All right.
Thank you guys for letting me talk Cowboys with you again. Have a happy Thanksgiving. And remember, gulp is a big word this week.
I'll be gulping the macaroni and cheese in the press box.
The good gulp. The good gulp this week. Rookie Chris Beam on the other side of that there wall here in the SWBC studio. Thank you. Everybody have a happy Thanksgiving. Let's enjoy the Cowboys game on Thursday. Read Machota, read Eatman, watch Jane on the NFL Network. We'll discuss it next week. Bye.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?